So I wanted to talk about the elephant in the room, which is something that people don't really like to talk too much about because it's kind of hard to talk about, and that's swing feel. And obviously, that's kind of the most important thing. Swing feel and rhythmic language and vocabulary. It's kind of the most important thing that any jazz musician can study because, let's face it, Sonny Rollins can play the most boring notes in the world and they will sound awesome because he plays with Sonny Rollins' time feel. And I think we can think of many examples. If you spend any time transcribing phrases that sound awesome, you go, "Whoa, that phrase sounds amazing!" And then you're like, he must be doing something really clever with half diminuted scale or something. And then you transcribe it and you realise it's just triads, and it just sounds badass because it swings, or something like that. So I think a lot of people have had that sort of experience. So it becomes really apparent that like time feel and swing feel is really the magic ingredient. Like I think it was Coco Chanel says, style is the magic ingredient that turns everything to gold. Swing is the magic ingredient, and jazz that turns everything to gold. Okay, so obviously, I say this from the point of view of not feeling that I have the best time feel in the world or the most swinging time feel in the world, but I come to you with this stuff from the kind of perspective of I'm better at it than I was, and maybe if you look at this stuff, if you're finding that you're struggling with this kind of material, these exercises might help you. So conceptually, I really need to talk about the a kind of what for me is a big myth of swing feel, which is that swing feel is defined by an inequality between the note that's on the beat and the note that's off the beat. So if you see like realizations, interpretations of swing feel written down in notation, you'll see things like dotted quaver and a semiquaver, dotted eighth, 16th for you Americans. Or some kind of triplet thing where you've got like a quarter triplet, and then an eighth triplet, and so on and so forth. Neither of those are completely satisfactory. The second one is slightly better, but this sort of idea often leads to a kind of jerky sort of swing, which is like this, which isn't really what you hear so much on the records. If I'm playing at sort of 120 beats a minute, click on the rebeat. If I do the dotted thing, it's very hard to play, let alone, make it sound hip. Now, some jazz musicians have a larger inequality than others. But I think people kind of get too much kind of hung up on that for their own swing feel, whereas in fact what they need to be thinking about is not the inequality of their notes, but how they feel the upbeat. A bit more on that later. So basically this kind of jerky playing, this kind of approximation of swing feel coming from an academic misunderstanding of what it actually is what I hear a lot of people do. And the first thing you have to tell them is, don't try to swing. Because swing, for me at least, and I think this is how I find it, is not really, it's not a thing that you have to do mechanically in your playing. Like, in order to do that kind of galloping kind of shuffle rhythm, you've actually got to articulate it, and it becomes very difficult when it's fast, because you have to do the upstroke really fast, upstroke, downstroke, So it's like, if you're alternate picking, so it's kind of, that is sort of hard to do. Whereas actually, for me, swing is a feel, and really, the articulation of it is very even, and the faster you get, the more kind of straightened out you are anyway, so you don't ever have to worry about making it happen from your right hand. So I want to put that out of your head right away. There are a few things technically we can do to encourage good swing phrasing. I won't cover them in this video because I just want to really go over the basics of how to place your eighth notes. So get that jerky kind of thing out of your head right away. I mean, that is, you could probably play it that way as a bit of a joke. Sometimes Django kind of uses that feel, and when he does that, I'm always thinking like he's kind of taking the mickey a bit. It's a bit of a musical joke because Django's feel isn't normally like that. So it's like, when you hear somebody do that, it's kind of like slightly you know, it's meant to sound a bit, you know, quaint and silly. So swing feel is a reconciliation of two apparently contradictory bits of information. One is you've got to swing your upbeats, and the second thing is you've got to play nice and even and not try to swing. Okay? And people have also described it as being kind of straight and late. And this comes from people, teachers as diverse as, I don't know, Hal Galper and Peter Bernstein and Mike Marino. All sorts of people have said this stuff. Your basic eighth note placement is based on those two things. And like if you're a kind of somewhat literal-minded person like me, you might think, that's a contradiction. However, if you really want to know the science of it, and this might not necessarily help you play it, I would recommend checking out David Bruce's video on swing feel, which goes into the science side of it a bit. But he himself kind of shrugs at the end and says, I don't know if this information would help somebody swing. And for me, the jury's out as well. So for me, it's a combination of two, to get swing eighth notes placement right, is a combination of two basic skills. The first is being able to place the upbeats both straight and swung at a tempo, which isn't that easy always. And the second thing is making sure that you have a strong feeling of evenness in, between the downbeat and the upbeat in your playing generally anyway. Now for the second thing, if I play like, if I'm playing like weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, strong, weak, strong, it's actually quite hard for me to do that now, but if I'm emphasising the beat, then what I have to do, and this is true for a lot of players who are just starting out, is actually emphasise the upbeat. So I'm still doing that inequality, aren't I? Let me do it straight. That you don't necessarily play like that. That's probably a bit too much, but it gets you out of the habit of just always emphasising the downbeat. What you want is actually something pretty even. Now, in fact, I think Billy Bauer, who's a big devotee of Charlie Christian, the Tristano school, always suggested guitarists should, play with downstrokes as much as possible. And a contemporary guitar player who does that actually is Mike Marino, who plays all downstrokes at, sort of medium tempo. I've had a lot of success with that myself. I think it's a good way to play. It helps you. So I'm going to take a little phrase from ornithology, which is we're just going to, if you've got to accent the upbeats. But however you do it, whether you do all downstrokes or you alternate pick or you use gypsy picking, Benson picking, whatever is your thing, you're aiming for evenness, right? That's really important. I'm not saying that everything you play always has to be even. It's good to be able to accent notes. But the evenness is kind of like your blank canvas, okay? So I'm going to put some tab up on the screen of that phrase. So, okay, so that exercise aside, that's the first exercise. Learn to play whatever phrase it is. Nice and evenly and nice and legato, which means connected, not hammer-ons and pull-offs. And then if you can do that, then it's it's good to work on individual little phrases. So something from a solo or a bebop head that you might be learning. Don't make things too complicated for yourself. Don't try and improvise with a new feel right away. Work on composed material. So it could be, I don't know, I'm using an example from ornithology, but it could be anything. It could be it could be like a lick, like something like this. It could be anything you can think of, right? It's just, or doesn't have to be bebop necessarily. It could be like it's a scale, whatever. But you've got to have that that sort of material that you can keep the same while you move it around a bit, and try out different things. Okay, so the next part of this process is for me to have the metronome on, You can do this with a track as well. So this is, I've got every beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 on the metronome at the minute. And, you know, it's just getting used to being able to play a straight up beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So there I'm counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right? Straight and swung. Quite an exaggerated swing. You mightn't necessarily swing the upbeats that much, but it's good to get like the opposite ends of the spectrum between straight and swung. Okay. So having done that, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to drop the numbers and just do the ands. And. And so you can hear that I was slipping a little bit into swung early on there. My aim is to try and keep that straight. So that was a straight example. Now this is a swung example. And. Okay, so if I just change this metronome now, so we've just got the click on the 2 and 4, which is the way most people practice, I think. But you know, some people like to practice with a click on the 1 and 3, and some people like to practice with it. You can even practice with the upbeats as well, which is a good way to practice this actually. At the minute, I'm just kind of traditionalist, kind of doing it 2 and 4, just because, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so that's swung. And right, okay. So getting a difference between straight swung at that speed is not particularly difficult, but your aim is to sort of settle into a pocket in a bit of a groove. The faster I go, so I crank this up to like 90 beats a minute, so that's 180. It's 2 and 4. And there's a bit of an annoying noise. So I'm going to go da 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 da, just because it's shorter and more precise. Da 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 da. And it's a good idea to record yourself. I'll probably listen back to this and go, oh, that wasn't accurate enough. It's a good idea to record yourself just to make sure that you are making a big difference between straight and swung, or the biggest difference you can. As you get faster and faster, it becomes more difficult. As I get to like 240, I'm not even sure if I can make much of a distinction. Yeah, it really becomes very subtle. You know, it's kind of okay to approximate it as straight at that speed. Certainly, you know, that kind of swing feel becomes more of a flavour. You know, it starts to kind of, about 100 beats a minute, still possible to feel it. Yeah, you can, it's subtle. It's subtle, but it's there. Also, I haven't practiced this. I've been on holiday for a week, so I've kind of slipped back a bit from where I was. But it's good to practice that. So I'm going to take it down to a nice, easy tempo because I've got holiday chops. So here we go, 70 beats a minute. Now, our phrase, ba-do-ba-dee-ba-da-boo-da-boo-da-boo, starts on an upbeat, right? So that upbeat needs to be, depending on whether we play it straight or swung, located in the right place. This will help us practice it. It's kind of a little bit harder if it's a phrase that starts on the beat. You won't notice so much of a distinction. So this is straight. Sorry. Okay, that's straight. Swung. Now you'll notice that in the second example I was still keeping it reasonably even and straight. You may well get a slight lilt creeping into your playing, a slight inequality between the downbeats and the offbeats. That's absolutely fine, but at no point should you be trying to make it happen. So let's try that again. I'll play it a few times straight first, then swung, contrasting. Now, what I'm feeling a little bit, I'll switch the metronome off for a sec because it's doing my head in. I'm probably doing your head in as well. You'll find that when I relax, when I start, I'm still playing as straight as I can because, that's what I'm practicing. You don't have to do that. You can play it like this. Which has got a bit more of a lilt to it. But when I play it straight, I'm coming on the upbeat, trying to keep it straight, trying to keep my upbeats locked into that swing position. So it feels like there's a little bit of tension. I'm pulling back against the beat. But because I'm still hopefully locked into the upbeats, it sounds swinging. Let's try that a little bit slower so we can, have 60 beats a minute, 120, 2 and 4. And let's try straight first. 2, 3. Swung. It wasn't quite right. Straight. Sorry. Well, that tempo, it's very noticeable, right? So you can feel that sort of, slight tension. It's really nice, actually. So it's just finding that feeling like, and then, keeping those upbeats locked in. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that wasn't quite right. Again. Yeah, so that's a really good exercise, I think. And as you get faster, as I mentioned, the difference is less noticeable because more of a nuance. Swung. Straight. Strung. Straight. Swung. Swung. Yeah, you get the idea. Can't say straight and swung. Hopefully I can demonstrate it. Hopefully there is a difference that you can hear. And I'd say the science of what we're doing is actually when we play swung, we're keeping it reasonably even and straight. So actually we're coming in behind the beat. But because we're locking into the upbeat, it still has a feeling of the tempo. It's not just, dragging. And it's important to have that rhythmic integrity in your swing feel. Now, I think this is more noticeable at medium tempo, and it's interesting that a lot of people can be comfortable playing at high tempo, where they get like articulation, and it's like, they've got good technique so they can do it, but the feel is fairly approximately the same as straight. Whereas medium tempo, they might struggle a bit because then it's necessary to really make that upbeat, put it in a different position. And they might tend to double the time at slower speeds, okay? Something that's interesting to listen out for, like great swingers, people like Dexter Gordon, who have that kind of straight over swing sound, but are catching the upbeat in the right place. On the other hand, people like Bill Evans and Wynton Kelly really swing, but they've got a little bit more of a dot to their playing. So it's not necessarily right or wrong. Barry Harris has that kind of relaxed behind the beat thing, which I really like, which is kind of where I'm trying to go with my own sort of feel. And a lot of guitarists do, actually, like Jimmy Rainey springs to mind, straight and late sort of players, Pat Martino, big time, listen to his beat placement. It's just great, it's mesmerising. So that's what I think about that. And, this is not all there is to it. I'll probably do a few more parts to this series, talking about other aspects of swing phrasing. But just for locking in your eighth notes, I think this is a good start. Pay attention to the position of the upbeat. Make sure you play even. Don't try to swing, okay? Leave any comments below and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.